Imagine a world where 7 young men from South Korea didn't just break the music industry, they completely rewrote the entire global playbook of marketing and consumer psychology. We aren't just talking about sold-out stadiums or chart-topping hits anymore. We are talking about a cultural phenomenon so potent that the biggest corporate giants in the United States are practically tripping over themselves, checkbooks in hand, just to get a single drop of that bangtan magic. From the neon lights of Times Square to the high-stakes, glass-walled boardrooms of Silicon Valley, the conversation has shifted. The question is no longer whether BTS is influential, it is how many billions of dollars a brand is willing to pivot just to see one of these members breathing life into their legacy. These aren't just standard celebrity endorsements. They are strategic, soul-deep alliances that can rescue a fading heritage brand or catapult a modern tech titan into a new dimension of relevance. But have you ever stopped to wonder which American powerhouses are currently locked in a silent, high-stakes war, plotting to sign the members to represent their core values? Which legendary brands are ready to reshape their entire identity just to secure a signature on a dotted line? And most importantly, which member's unique aura perfectly matches the soul of which iconic American institution? Today we are pulling back the curtain on the high-stakes world of luxury, technology, and lifestyle as we explore the 5 legendary American brands that are absolutely desperate to sign the members of BTS. Are you ready to witness the unprecedented collision of K-pop royalty and the ultimate Western corporate empires? What makes these brands so hungry for their touch? And who will be the one to bridge the gap between Seoul and the soul of America? Let's dive into the countdown. Number 5. The timeless legacy, Ralph Lauren's ultimate muse. The fashion world is currently witnessing a tectonic shift where the boundaries of East and West are not just blurring, they are being completely dismantled by a single name that resonates with the elegance of a bygone era and the electric energy of the modern age. Kim Taehyung, famously known as V from BTS. For decades, Ralph Lauren has stood as the impenetrable fortress of the American dream, a brand that didn't just sell clothes but sold an entire lifestyle of polo matches, ivy-covered estates, and the sophisticated old money aesthetic that defined the upper crust of New York and New England. However, as we move through 2026, even a titan like Ralph Lauren realizes that to stay relevant in a world that moves at the speed of a TikTok trend, they need more than just heritage. They need a soul that can carry the weight of tradition while making it look effortlessly cool for a global generation. Enter Kim Taehyung, the man whose personal style is essentially a walking advertisement for the Ralph Lauren ethos, even when he isn't trying to be. If you look closely at Taehyung's evolution, he has always been an old soul trapped in a superstar's body, often seen sporting classic cardigans, vintage-inspired berets, and tailored trousers that look like they were plucked straight from a 1950s jazz club in Harlem. This isn't just a coincidence, it is a deep-seated aesthetic alignment that Ralph Lauren is reportedly desperate to capitalize on. The reason the American giant is so hungry to secure Taehyung is rooted in the V effect, a phenomenon where anything he touches, from a specific shade of lipstick to a luxury wool coat, vanishes from store shelves within minutes, often crashing global servers in the process. Ralph Lauren isn't just looking for a face, they are looking for a storyteller, someone who can breathe life into their polo and purple label collections with the same cinematic intensity Taehyung brings to his music videos. Industry insiders suggest that the brand has been quietly monitoring Taehyung's immense earned media value, EMV, which has consistently topped charts during Paris and Milan fashion weeks, often outperforming entire brands with just one Instagram post. But beyond the cold, hard numbers, there is an emotional narrative here that is truly fascinating. Imagine the quintessential American heritage brand, built on the vision of Ralph Lifshitz, an immigrant son who redefined American identity, now seeking its future in a young man from Daegu, South Korea. It is a poetic full circle of the globalized American dream. Taehyung's love for jazz, his affinity for classical art, and his Celine boy edge mixed with a grandpa core charm makes him the perfect bridge between Ralph Lauren's traditionalist past and a diverse multicultural future. The brand is rumored to be offering an unprecedented contract that would give Taehyung creative input, acknowledging that he isn't just a model, but a curator of taste. Every time Taehyung wears a Ralph Lauren vintage piece found in a thrift shop, the search volume for the brand spikes by triple digits, proving that he understands the brand's DNA better than some of its own designers. The desperation from the American side is palpable because they know that if they don't lock him in soon, the old money aesthetic will be defined by someone else, and Ralph Lauren risks becoming a relic of the past rather than a leader of the future. The sheer detail of his influence is staggering. Even a simple photo of him holding a trumpet while wearing a classic RL sweater can shift market perceptions of the brand from preppy to artistic and soulful overnight. Ralph Lauren's boardrooms are likely buzzing with strategies on how to present an offer that Taehyung, who is notoriously selective and values artistic integrity over mere profit, cannot refuse. They want to sign him, and they want to sign the whole group eventually. But Taehyung is the crown jewel in this specific American heritage crown. He represents the Prince of Americana in a way that no Western celebrity currently can, because he brings with him the devotion of millions who see his fashion choices as an extension of his poetic personality. As we look at the potential of this partnership, it's not just about a campaign. It's about a cultural marriage where the soul of Seoul meets the heart of New York, creating a legacy that will be talked about for decades in marketing textbooks. The stakes are sky high, the atmosphere is electric with anticipation, and as the fashion world holds its breath, the question remains: will the man who loves the classics finally join the most classic American brand of them all? The roar of the army is ready. The suits in Manhattan are ready, and the stage is set for a collaboration that could redefine the very meaning of a global ambassador in the year 2026 and beyond. Number 4. The streetwear kingpin, Nike's quest for the ultimate icon. The air in the corporate headquarters of Beaverton, Oregon is thick, with a kind of electric desperation that you only feel when a global empire realizes it's standing on the precipice of a brand new era, and that era has a name, Min Yoongi. Better known to the world as Suga, or the fierce August D, this man isn't just a rapper or a producer. He is a living, breathing personification of the just do it spirit, but with the rebellious edge that Nike has been chasing since the days of Michael Jordan. For decades, Nike hasn't just sold sneakers. They've sold the idea of the underdog rising to greatness, the sweat-soaked journey from a dusty court to the glittering lights of the NBA. And who better to represent that journey than a boy from Daegu who used to deliver newspapers and work part-time jobs just to afford a bus ride home after spending his last pennies on music equipment? The narrative symmetry here is so perfect, it's almost haunting, and that is exactly why the American sportswear giant is reportedly obsessed with securing a full-scale, legacy-defining partnership with him. Think about the atmosphere of a Nike commercial, the slow-motion shots, the heavy breathing, the philosophical voiceover about resilience, and then look at Yoongi's life. He is a man who literally survived a shoulder injury that could have ended his career, kept it a secret while performing on the world's biggest stages, and eventually underwent surgery just to keep his promise to his fans and his art. This level of grit is exactly what Nike's marketing department dreams of when they brainstorm their next icon campaign. In the high-stakes world of footwear, Nike has seen a massive surge in competition from brands like New Balance and Adidas, who are snatching up cultural tastemakers left and right, but Yoongi is the holy grail that could reset the balance of power. Why? Because Yoongi doesn't just wear clothes, he gives them a soul. When he was appointed as a global ambassador for the NBA, the world saw a glimpse of what a Nike-Suga collaboration could look like. The effortless cool of a man who actually understands the culture of the game, who spent his youth playing point guard, and whose stage name, Suga, is literally derived from shooting guard. This isn't some manufactured celebrity endorsement. This is a deep biological connection to the sport that built Nike's foundation. Imagine a Suga X Jordan line. Not just another colorway, but a collection that reflects his minimalist aesthetic, his love for monochrome, and his August D fire. The brand is rumored to be looking at data that is frankly mind-blowing. Every time Yoongi is spotted in a pair of vintage Jordans or a simple Nike tech fleece, the resale value of those items on platforms like StockX skyrockets by hundreds of % within the hour. But the desperation goes deeper than just sales. Nike wants the Yoongi aura, that quiet, stoic intensity that commands a room without saying a word. In a world of loud, flashy influencers, Yoongi represents quiet power, a producer who works until 4 a.m. in his studio, Genius Lab crafting hits that move the world. This work ethic is the Suga standard that Nike wants to bottle and sell to every aspiring athlete and artist across the globe. The internal discussions at Nike are whispered to be about a lifetime contract, similar to the ones held by LeBron James or Cristiano Ronaldo, because they know that Yoongi isn't a fleeting trend. He is a permanent fixture in global culture. They are fascinated by his ability to bridge the gap between high-fashion luxury and the gritty streets of Seoul and New York. His D-Day tour wasn't just a concert series, it was a cultural masterclass in storytelling, and Nike wants to be the one providing the wardrobe for that story. The emotional weight of this potential deal is massive. Imagine a commercial featuring Yoongi's first love playing on a piano in the middle of an empty basketball court, reflecting on the days he was told he wouldn't make it, only to stand tall as the king of his own empire. It's the kind of storytelling that makes consumers weep and then immediately go buy a pair of shoes. The American executives are fully aware that the army effect is a force of nature. If Yoongi says a certain shoe is comfort for the soul, millions of people will consider that shoe a part of their identity. The detail in his influence is so granular that fans even track the specific socks he wears, and Nike is desperate to ensure those socks have a swoosh on them. There is a sense of urgency because the window of peak cultural saturation is now, and with Yoongi's return from military service on the horizon, the bidding war is reaching a fever pitch. Nike isn't just competing with other shoe brands, they are competing with the very concept of Yoongi's independence. They have to prove that they are worthy of his never-mind attitude. The brand is supposedly preparing a bespoke creative studio for him within their campus, offering him the chance to design not just shoes, but the future of active luxury streetwear. Every time he sits courtside at a Lakers or Warriors game, the cameras linger on him a second longer than the players, and Nike knows those seconds are worth billions in brand equity. They want to sign him because he represents the alpha and omega of modern influence, the technical skill of a producer, the physical presence of a performer, and the emotional depth of a poet. For Nike, missing out on Min Yoongi would be the biggest what-if in the history of the company, worse than passing on a young star before they hit their prime. They are ready to give him the keys to the kingdom, to let him redefine what it means to be a Nike athlete in the 21st century, where the arena is no longer just a court, but a global digital stage. The stakes are nothing short of legendary, and the world is waiting to see if the man who redefined the rap game will now redefine the walk of a generation. Number 3. The Silicon Valley Savior, Apple's masterpiece of elegance. Deep within the heart of Cupertino, California, inside the glass-walled sanctuary of Apple Park, there is a silent but frantic search for something that cannot be coded, manufactured, or bought with a simple transaction. They are searching for the human soul of technology, and every internal compass is pointing directly at Park Jimin. For years, Apple has reigned supreme as the gold standard of sleek, minimalist luxury. But as we move further into 2026, the tech giant faces a unique challenge. How do you make a cold, metallic device feel like a warm, emotional extension of the human spirit? This is where the Jimin magic comes into play, and why the executives at Apple are reportedly obsessed with the idea of a partnership that would go far beyond a simple product placement. Jimin isn't just a singer or a world-class dancer. He is a living embodiment of fluidity, a man whose every movement, from the way he brushes his hair to the precision of his contemporary dance steps, mirrors the seamless user interface that Steve Jobs once dreamed of. The reasoning is deeply psychological. Apple's brand identity is built on the philosophy of think different, and no one in the modern era embodies that radical, boundary-pushing elegance quite like Jimin. He is the global it boy who can wear a multi-million-dollar Tiffany diamond or a simple white t-shirt and make both look like the pinnacle of human achievement. Industry experts suggest that Apple is looking to Jimin to be the face of their next frontier, the integration of AI and spatial computing through the Vision Pro and beyond, because he possesses the unique ability to make complex, futuristic concepts feel approachable, beautiful, and deeply personal. Think about the Jimin effect that has already sent shockwaves through the fashion industry. When he was announced as the ambassador for Dior, the brand saw a literal vertical spike in their social media engagement and stock valuation that left veteran analysts speechless. Apple wants that Midas touch. They don't just want him to hold an iPhone, they want him to curate the aura of the brand for a generation that values authenticity and emotional depth over raw specifications. The narrative within the Apple boardrooms is whispered to be focused on human-centric innovation, and Jimin, with his history of being a perfectionist who practices a single dance move thousands of times until it looks effortless, is the perfect mirror for Apple's own obsession with the obsessive detail. There is a certain poetic irony here, the world's most valuable tech company seeking the blessing of a young man who once dreamed of just being on stage. The detail of his influence is so granular that fans have documented the exact way he uses his devices, turning a simple tablet into a canvas for his artistic expression, and Apple realizes that this organic connection is worth more than any Super Bowl commercial. They are reportedly preparing a campaign that would be more akin to a short film, a cinematic exploration of sound, light, and movement featuring Jimin, highlighting the pro features not through charts and graphs, but through the lens of his creative process. The emotional resonance is key. Jimin's vulnerability, his openness about his struggles with perfection, and his eventual triumph as a soloist with Face and Muse have created a bond with the global public that is unbreakable. Apple wants to tap into that bond, to be the tool that helps the next Jimin discover their voice. The stakes are incredibly high because, in the world of 2026, tech is no longer just a tool, it is an identity. And having Park Jimin as the face of that identity would mean Apple isn't just a phone company, it becomes a Jimin-approved lifestyle of grace and power. The rumors suggest a level of collaboration never seen before, perhaps even a Jimin edition of the ecosystem, where the colors, haptics, and interface are designed to reflect his serendipity aesthetic. The desperation from the American side comes from the realization that Jimin's influence is platform agnostic. He doesn't just dominate one corner of the internet, he owns the entire digital conversation. If Apple can secure him, they aren't just selling hardware, they are selling a piece of the Jimin galaxy, a world where everything is beautiful, fluid, and perfectly in sync. Every time he posts a mirror selfie, the world looks at the device in his hand, and Apple wants to make sure that the silhouette they see is unmistakably theirs, blessed by the man who redefined what it means to be a global icon of elegance. The atmospheric tension is palpable as competitors watch from the sidelines, knowing that if this deal closes, the intersection of K-pop and Silicon Valley will create a cultural monopoly that will be nearly impossible to break. It's a high-stakes game of digital chess, and Apple is ready to move their king to capture the one member who can make the world fall in love with technology all over again. Number 2. The Architect of Thought. The New York Times Global Visionary. The air in the gray, stone-clad corridors of Midtown Manhattan, specifically within the hallowed halls of the New York Times building, carries a different kind of weight these days. It's the weight of a legacy trying to figure out how to survive in an era of 15-second soundbites and fleeting digital trends. For over 170 years, the Gray Lady has been the definitive voice of the American record, the ultimate brand of intellectual prestige and journalistic authority. But as we navigate the complexities of 2026, they are facing a silent crisis. How do they connect with a generation that views the world through the lens of empathy and art, rather than just cold, hard headlines? The answer, whispered in the most elite boardrooms and editorial meetings, is one name that carries more intellectual weight than any politician or social theorist: Kim Namjoon, the leader of BTS, known to the world as RM. This isn't just about a brand deal in the traditional sense. This is about the New York Times wanting to sign Namjoon as their first ever global narrative ambassador and cultural curator, a role that would essentially make him the bridge between the intellectual history of the West and the vibrant, soulful future of the East. Why is the most powerful media brand in America so desperate for his signature? Because Namjoon is the architect of thought, a man with a 148 IQ who didn't just learn English by watching Friends, but mastered the nuance of the language to the point where he could deliver a speech at the United Nations that moved the entire world to tears. The American establishment sees in him something they haven't seen in decades, a true Renaissance man who can navigate the worlds of hip-hop, contemporary art, environmental philosophy, and global diplomacy with equal grace. Think about the Namjooning phenomenon. It's not just a hashtag, it's a lifestyle brand of its own, the act of visiting museums, riding bicycles, appreciating nature, and slowing down to find the indigo within oneself. The New York Times realizes that Namjoon has done what their million-dollar marketing campaigns couldn't. He made thinking and learning and caring about art the coolest thing you could do. Industry insiders suggest that the Times is preparing an unprecedented partnership where Namjoon would curate a specialized vertical, a space where he explores the intersection of Korean heritage and American modernism, perhaps through a series of documentaries or high-level editorial essays. The detail of his influence is absolutely staggering. Every time Namjoon posts a photo of a book he's reading or a small gallery he's visiting, that book immediately hits the bestseller list, and that gallery sees a 500% increase in foot traffic, often from young people who had never stepped foot in a museum before. This is the RM effect that the American media elite is dying to capture. They don't just want him to be a face on the cover. They want his brain, his curation, and his soul to help them redefine what it means to be informed in the 21st century. The emotional depth of this potential union is profound. Imagine a brand like the New York Times, which has often been criticized for its Western-centric view, handing the keys of their cultural narrative to a young man from Ilsan who grew up listening to Nas and Eminem, only to eventually outshine the very culture that inspired him. The internal discussions at the Times are reportedly focused on how Namjoon's indigo era, where he explored the fluctuation of life and the stillness of art, perfectly matches the brand's desire to move away from sensationalism and toward deep, reflective storytelling. There is a sense of atmospheric tension because they know Namjoon is incredibly selective. He doesn't just take jobs, he enters into alliances. The brand is reportedly offering him complete creative freedom to host the Namjoon Dialogues, a series where he interviews the world's greatest living artists and thinkers. For the New York Times, this is a survival tactic. If they don't align with someone who possesses the moral authority and intellectual curiosity of RM, they risk becoming a relic of a bygone era. The desperation is fueled by the fact that Namjoon doesn't need them. He already has a global platform that rivals their own reach, but they desperately need him to validate their existence to a new, conscious, global audience. Imagine the visual of RM standing on the roof of the NYT building, looking out over the New York skyline, reflecting on the moon and the sea as metaphors for human connection. It's the kind of high-concept, soulful branding that would instantly elevate the Times from a news organization to a lifestyle philosophy. Every time he speaks about the small things or the wildflower within him, he provides a blueprint for a more thoughtful world, and the American press wants to be the one to publish that blueprint. The stakes are monumental because this isn't just about advertising revenue, it's about who gets to define truth and culture for the next 100 years. If the Times can secure Namjoon, they secure the future of the intellectual American dream through a South Korean lens. They are ready to offer him a seat at the highest table, recognizing that he is not just a musician, but a philosopher king whose words have the power to heal a fractured society. As we wait for the next chapter of his journey post-military service, the anticipation in the editorial offices of New York is at a boiling point. Will the man who leads the biggest band in the world become the voice of the world's most influential record? The world is watching, the pens are ready, and the Grey Lady is waiting for her King of Indigo to bring color back to the narrative of humanity. Number 1. The Golden Empire. Disney's billion-dollar quest for the King of Pop. The final destination of our journey takes us to the sun-drenched boulevards of Burbank, California, where the towering spires of the Walt Disney Company stand as a testament to a century of storytelling magic. But even this global titan, a brand that literally owns our childhood dreams, is currently standing at a crossroads. As we navigate the high-stakes entertainment landscape of 2026, the House of Mouse is no longer just looking for a character, they are looking for a miracle. A bridge between the classic nostalgia of the 20th century and the hyper-digital, emotionally charged reality of the 21st. And that miracle has a name that echoes through every stadium and digital corner of the planet. Jungkook. The golden maknae of BTS isn't just a singer anymore. He has ascended to the throne of the main pop boy of the world, a title that carries the weight of billions of streams and a cultural influence so vast it has its own gravitational pull. Why is Disney, the most powerful entertainment machine in history, reportedly so desperate to sign Jungkook to a deal that would dwarf any celebrity contract in history? Because Jungkook represents the ultimate human brand, a performer whose versatility is so staggering that he could be the hero of an action blockbuster, the voice of a soaring musical anthem, and the face of a global streaming revolution all at once. The Jungkook effect isn't just a marketing term, it is a fundamental shift in how the world consumes talent. When he released his solo debut, 7, the world didn't just listen. They watched as he shattered every record held by Western legends, proving that the center of the pop universe had officially shifted to Seoul. Disney sees in Jungkook the second coming of the global super icon, someone who possesses the vocal range of a Disney prince, the physical prowess of a Marvel superhero, and the raw, authentic charisma of a modern-day rock star. The internal discussions at Disney's headquarters are rumored to be focused on a total ecosystem integration, a project so ambitious it would involve a dedicated Jungkook universe within the Disney Plus platform, a series of original films that blend his love for cinematography with high-octane storytelling, and perhaps even a residency at the heart of their global theme parks. Imagine the scene. The lights of the Cinderella castle dimming, the familiar intro of a Jungkook hit echoing across the park, and the golden aura of his voice filling the night sky. This is the level of main character energy that Disney is dying to bottle and sell to the next generation. The detail of his influence is frankly terrifying for competitors. Every time Jungkook hums a melody or mentions a favorite movie, the Disney-level engagement he generates is enough to save a failing franchise. Market analysts suggest that a partnership with Jungkook would not only stabilize Disney's fluctuating stock prices, but would also create a new golden standard for what a global pop star can achieve within a corporate partnership. The desperation from the American side is fueled by a simple fact. Jungkook is the only person on Earth who can command the undivided attention of Gen Z, Millennials, and Gen Alpha simultaneously. He is the golden thread that connects the entire world. The emotional narrative here is deeply moving. The boy who joined Big Hit as a teenager, shy and quiet, who taught himself how to sing by watching videos of the greats, is now the man that the world's greatest storytellers are begging to tell their story. Disney is reportedly offering a contract that includes his own creative production house, recognizing that Jungkook is a visionary director in his own right, as seen through his GCF, Golden Closet film series. They want his director's eye as much as they want his golden voice. The atmospheric tension in the entertainment industry is thick, as rival studios like Warner Brothers and Netflix scramble to make their own offers. But Disney's heritage of making dreams come true is their ultimate pitch to the man who has already achieved every dream possible. They aren't just buying his time, they are buying the golden soul of a generation. Every time Jungkook performs, whether it's at the World Cup in Qatar or on a rainy stage in New York, he proves that he is a once-in-a-lifetime phenomenon. A performer who can make 50,000 people feel like he is singing directly to them. This intimate magnitude is the secret sauce that Disney wants to infuse into their next century of content. The sheer scale of the proposal is whispered to include a global tour sponsored by the brand, where every stop becomes a Disney x Jungkook cultural festival, blending the magic of animation with the reality of his superstar power. As we stand on the edge of this potential collaboration, the question isn't whether it will happen, but how much the world will change when it does. For Disney, missing out on Jungkook would be like missing out on Mickey Mouse in 1928. He is the foundation of the future. The American executives are ready to give him the keys to the entire Magic Kingdom, hoping that the golden touch of Jungkook will ensure that the Disney legacy remains undefeated for the next 100 years. The roar of the crowd is waiting, the animators are ready, and the most powerful brand in America is holding its breath, waiting for the Golden King to say yes to a world of pure imagination.